Hi, welcome to today's video. Are you like me? Have you been watching people's top 10s and top 5s of 2021? Some of them, they're really interesting, aren't they? But others, I've got to be honest, they cause me a little bit of, I'm not going to say concern, but I look at them and think, they're all expensive pens, aren't they? And to be honest, there's some of them I wouldn't even dream of looking at, let alone using, because they cost so much. So what I thought I'd do is something different. I'm actually going to do a series of 6 videos. In the first 5 videos, we're going to look at pens in different price ranges, and I'm going to give you my top 5 pens in each of those. So they'll be under 20, 20 to 50, 50 to 100, 100 to 200, and then 200 plus. The final video, I'm going to take the winner from each of those 5 and then pit them off against each other. Today, we're looking at the videos under $20. So join me now down on the mat and let's take a look at my top 5 pens of 2021 under 20 Australian dollars. Here we are down on the mat. So what I'm going to do is fetch out these pens in price order. So we're going to start from the cheapest, work our way up to the most expensive. And then at the end, I'll tell you which one is the winner from the 5 pens. So the first one we have is a Jinhao 992. This is a really expensive pen, $2 Australian. Well, I'm saying 2, I think it was $1.71, but I've rounded up to the nearest dollar. I like this pen. This is in the brown colour. I've got a copy of this pen in all the colours they have available. I tend to usually have the brown one inked up there because I'm quite into brown inks. You know, it is what it looks. It's very small. Let me just pull the cap off. It's really small in the hand. I have to use it posted. Doesn't make it back heavy. It's still fairly light. And by fairly light, I mean it is very light. You hardly know you've got it in your hand. I find if I'm going out and about and I want to use this as a pocket pen, to be honest, it's too long to use as a pocket pen, but it also feels too light to me as well. So we're going to just do a little bit of writing. So post this up. Jinhao 992. The nib on here is a fine. You don't have any options. It's fine, or maybe you can get a fine. As I said, $2 Australian. The ink by Diamine. Diamines, they're usually one of my go-to inks, and it's chocolate brown. Just going to move the mic so you can hear the pen write. You know, in here, even though it's a fine nib, I'm seeing a load of shading coming through. You know, it's a $2 pen, remember? It looks really nice. Give that a second to dry. Whilst that's doing it, we'll look at the Tomoe River paper. So this is Tomoe River 52 GSM paper. It's a small pen, I've mentioned that. It's cheap. It writes so well. It doesn't really matter what paper I'm writing on. It can be on the Tomoe River, it can be on the optic paper, Rhodia, cheap notepads that I get from the supermarket, cheaper printer paper. No matter what I use it on, writes really nicely. Now, because of the size of the nib, it's really fine. One of the things I have found with this is ink. It just lasts and lasts and lasts. This is only the second time I've had to fill the converter in over 6 months, and you can see there, look, it's still fairly full. All these pens, the ink just seems to go on and on and on. You'd almost think it's magic and it's recreating the ink, and I know it isn't. I could eyedropper this pen if I want to. Again, let me just take that off so you can see. Everything's plastic. There's even an O-ring at the bottom. But given the amount of time that the ink lasts, I don't really see the point in that. I also think, I don't know if you saw there where I was putting the body back on, there's not a lot of thread, so I'd be a little bit worried in case ink does eventually seep out. The combo, it's really nice. Not a lot of line variation you can see at the bottom of the Tomoe River, but we're not buying it for that. What we're buying it for is it's cheap and it lets me get ideas out of my head and onto paper. And this is why it's in the top 5. So let me move that away, the Jinhao 992. The next one, this is a PenBBS, and it's a PenBBS 494. This pen's a piston filler. I think, yep, it's the only piston filler out of the lot. All the others, oh no, it might not be. Maybe another piston filler. I may be lying to you. You'll find out soon. As you can see there, there's a piston. It's got a gorgeous purple ink. You can see the ink there. I love these demonstrator pens because you can see that ink. Again, it's another small one. Slightly longer than the 992, but not much. It does post though, and again posted is quite nice lengthwise. It's a light pen. The section to me is slightly on the thin side, so I find that my fingers keep banging into each other. But that doesn't really matter, that's not what we're buying it for. So we've got here a pen, BBS 494. Again, it's a fine, and there's not much choice in that. This one, it was a small fortune. It was $8 Australian. The ink in here is by Diamine. Okay, this is the challenge. Can I spell this ink correctly? It's Monboddos hat. I've got it written down in front of me to make sure I write it properly, because I don't know why, but I keep wanting to mix my B's and my D's up. So if you ever see me with this ink and I end up writing Monboddos, that's because my brain's just gone to sleep. Let's do our writing, so I'll move the mic. Now, before I started doing the writing, you may have seen my arm come flying over. I noticed on my preview that it looked slightly out of focus, so hopefully it should all be back in focus for your name. Although this is a purple ink, I do think it's quite a dark purple. As you can see here, or certainly when I look in the preview, I can see purple, but when I'm looking at it with my eyes, it's tending towards black. Let's take a look at the Tomoe River paper. So again, on this paper here, it's definitely looking that it's purple. A lot of what I've said is written on here. When I'm testing my pens, what I like to do is use them for a couple of weeks, then I write this sheet here, then I use them for a few more weeks before I come in to actually write my reviews and to record. So there's nothing on here which I haven't already covered. You know, it's a piston filler. As we could hear and see, it was a nice smooth writer. This pen, I can leave it for well over a month between uses, take the cap off, and it writes straight away. So it's really good for that. Because it's a piston filler, again, with that fine nib, the ink lasts and lasts and lasts. I've had this pen nearly 6 months, and apart from the fill, when I did my unboxing of it, I haven't put any more ink in this pen. That's how well it lasts. So for all this is why the PenBBS 494 is included in my top 5. My next one, again, we're going up in price. This is by Jinhao, and it's a Jinhao 100 Centennial. Really nice pen. Yes, I know it's very, very similar to a Parker Duofold and pens like that, and to the, things like the Cargaloo 316, and many other companies do pens which look very, very similar. But saying all that, to me, it still looks nice. It's a pretty looking pen, and it writes nice. Let's take a closer look. Again, let's look at this colouring. This is so nice. I've got a couple of these. I've got to be honest, the other one, which is in the meteorite pattern, doesn't actually write as well as this one. But I think that's the thing with most, I'm going to say Jinhao, but let's be honest, it's most manufacturers, that nibs can be quite hit and miss. The nib on this does feel a little bit stiff when I'm using it, but it's also smooth. Now, again, like most Jinhao nibs, I have had to smooth this nib a little bit, only a tiny amount, but just be aware it's something that you may from time to time need to do something with. Let's take a quick look at the nib. The nib is a number 6 size nib. That means I can swap it with others. So if I want to put a broad nib in there, that's fairly easy to do. Let's do a little bit of writing. I'm just going to move the pad up slightly. So this is a Jinhao 100 It's got a medium nib. To me, it's on the fine side of medium, but you can still see the difference between that and the fines. How much did this cost? Well, hold on to your socks. It was a whopping $14.50. The ink in here is by Herbin. There we go. And it's Éclat de Saphir. So like a sapphire, slightly purpley blue ink. Going to move the mic so you can hear it right. So another pen where the writing experience is actually quite nice. It was actually good here. Can you see where I've got the U and the M? This is one of the things I do notice with this pen, is every so often that will happen. I'll just get a little extra bit of ink coming out. Because of what we're doing, it doesn't really matter. But if you're writing a letter to someone, or you're writing something which you want to look really nice, you want it to be consistent. And yes, I know it's $14.50. We're not expecting miracles for that price, but you need to be aware of it. You need to be aware of the limitations. I enjoy writing with this pen. It fit quite nice in my hand. Let's have a look at my Tomoe River paper though. On here we can see, I've called out a lot of this. It's a stiff nib. You could hear that. You could hear the feedback. You could hear that noise as I was writing. I quite like it. I enjoy soft nibs, but I also enjoy hard nibs. To be honest, I'm quite easy to please. The pen fits nice into my hand. I'll show you that in a second. This is the first time I've actually used this ink. I bought it a couple of months ago, and it's the first time I've really had a reason to pop it into a pen. I love it. It looks really nice. I like the colour. I've got a couple of Diamine inks which are similar colours, so I'm looking forward to comparing it against those as well. Let's take a look at it in my hand. So here we go. Just look at that. I love the colour of this. But in my hand, you would have seen it when I was writing. It's just about the right size. Might be nice being a teeny tiny little bit longer, but not enough to really quibble about. The bottom of the section is quite wide. It's comfortable to hold. It's comfortable to write with. This one, yes, you could say it posts, but not very well. It posts onto this black part here. It doesn't go down onto the actual body. Now, I've really pushed that on hard, and down, now it will stay, but it feels clumsy. So it's not something that I would do. But again, I enjoy using the pen. I enjoy writing with it. So this is the Jinhao 100 Centennial. We've got two more pens to go. The next pen, it is another piston filler. So I lied to you earlier on, but hopefully you'll forgive me. The next pen is, I believe it's actually made in India. It's Fountain Pen Revolution, and it's the Guru model. Now I've got this in the black colour. It's a piston filler. Here's the piston filling knob. But one of the things I like with this is here where you can see we've got the ink window. You can see I've got a nice green ink in there. Remember, I like green, so if I can get green ink into any video, I always try and do that. It's a fairly small pen though. I'm going to show you it in my hand before I even do anything. There you are. Very short. Needs to be posted. It will post. Problem is, it posts onto here, onto this filling cap. So you've got to be careful when you're taking that cap off that you don't end up twisting as well and squirting ink everywhere. Let's write whilst we've got it there. So we've got a Fountain Pen Revolution. And it's the Guru. It's a medium nib. Personally, I think it's on the fine side of medium. And this was 16 Australian dollars. So again, we've jumped up in price, haven't we? Let's look at the ink. It's by Oster. And it's Ryde green. There we go. Just pop that cap on for a second. Funny story with this. When I bought this ink, I was buying a load of samples for my wife, and I actually thought I just ordered a sample of this. When it arrived, it wasn't. I'd ordered a full bottle, so I've got a full bottle of this green. Thankfully, I like the colour. Let's do our writing. I'll just reposition the mic. So another, really nice, enjoyable experience. Let's take a quick look at the Tomoe River paper. I try to keep this very consistent when I'm writing on the Tomoe River paper. So I've got the pen name, the ink name, my thoughts, and at the bottom I do things like testing for wetness, and the scribble at the very bottom that's just one continuous. So I'm trying to see what the flow's like if it runs out after a while. Looks really nice. I love the fact it's a piston filler. You put ink there and it lasts for ages. Downside, it's a bit of a pain to actually clean it out. With this pen, you've got to be aware you may get a funny smell from it. Not sure why, but what I found is after about 3 to 4 months, it does seem to fade a lot. It's still there, but we're not putting the pen up to our nose to check it, are we? So in normal writing, I don't really notice it. It's short, as I showed you, that it has to be used posted. And it's also quite light. Now, I do love the classic look. Let's take a look back at the pen. That to me looks so nice. It's a pen you could take to any meeting. Yes, I know I've got green ink in it, not really a meeting-friendly ink, but who cares? It's my pen, and they're my notes. It glides over the paper, there's no drag, it's so nice to write with, it's smooth. Had no issues with this. This is about the 4th or 5th ink I've had in here. Every ink just writes really nice, not had a single bad experience with it. So this is the Fountain Pen Revolution Guru. Now, I was hoping to get all my writing samples on one page, so what I'm going to have to do down here is the next pen I'm going to squeeze on, so it may not look as nice with my writing, but I want to try and avoid turning the page if possible. The next pen, and the final pen in my top 5, is this one here. This is a New Moon 2 by Delike. This pen looks so nice. Just look at that as I spin it around. Now, I've had an internet repairman come round about 4 months ago because we're having problems with the broadband. And at the side of the internet box, I had this pen with a notepad so that every time the internet went down, we would jot a note. When he came in and saw it, he did comment about how different it looks. And the ink I had in at the time was Diamine Ancient Copper. Again, he commented about how the ink looks different as well. Nice pen. I really do enjoy using this pen. Just going to take off the cap. It's another one, it's a cartridge filler. I'm just going to show you that. I know I haven't been doing this with them all. There you go. So let's do some writing. I have to post this one. So again, apologies for this. Delike New Moon 2 fine nib. This one was 18 Australian dollars. The ink by Diamine, and it's writer's blood. Now this is usually a really wet ink. I'll move the mic so you can hear it right. So I do feel that this pen, when I'm writing, I feel quite a lot of feedback from it. I'm not saying it's rough, I'm not saying it's unpleasant. It used to be. I had to do a little bit of micro meshing on it. That soon sorted that out. And yes, I could do a bit more, get it a little bit smoother, but I quite enjoy it. I know I'm writing, I can feel it coming through the nib. And to be honest, for me, I actually like that. I do find some of these overly smooth pens, well, not just uncomfortable, but I'm going to say actually unpleasant to write with. We'll take a look at the Tomoe River paper. I don't know if you saw when I was doing my writing sample, I had to post it. This pen needs to be posted. I may get away with it. I'll show you me holding it again in a minute. I had to use some micro mesh, mainly for when I was writing on Rhodia paper. Other papers seem fine. I always get problems with Rhodia and Clairefontaine. Doesn't really bother me because, as I said, a couple of swift passes with micro mesh fixed it. Nice and smooth. It doesn't let me down. It's a consistent writer. It's really well balanced and it's comfortable for me to write with. Go back to the paper. I like the colour of this ink with this pen. I think it's a nice match for the colouring. I've got a few inks similar shade to this, so I may use them more often. I'm seeing the tiniest, teeniest bits of shading coming through, but not enough to really write home about. The pen, as I said, let's show you that. There it is, unposted. It's just a little bit too short. Posted, it's not too bad. And as long as I remember, I tend to use this pen posted. So this is the Delike New Moon 2. Get that out of the way. Not sure if I can get a little bit of the writing from all of them on there. There we go. We can see, and this is why I wanted to get it all on one page. So these are the 5 pens. We've got the Jinhao 992, the PenBBS 494, the Jinhao 100, the Fountain Pen Revolution Guru, and the Delike New Moon 2. So which is the winner? Which will go into that grand final? They've all got their good points, they've all got their bad points, but I've got to pick one. And it's going to come down to 2 things. The way the pen looks and the way the pen feels when I'm writing with it. I like a pen with a bit of character, with a bit of interest. As I've also said there, I like a pen that I enjoy to write with. So for this reason, the winner of this week's video is the Delike New Moon 2, and that will go forward to the grand final where it will battle out with the pens from the other price ranges. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. Which of your pens under $20 would you say are in your top 5? Please drop a comment down below. I'd love to know. What do you think about the format of this video series? Do you like the idea of having price bands and then having that winners playing against each other? Again, please comment. Let me know what your thoughts are on it. Please hit the thumbs up button. Remember, every time you like, every time you comment, helps with the YouTube algorithm. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel so that you can get new videos as I release them. I'll talk to you again soon.